Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I have my top 10 books that I've read so far this year of 2023, since I think we're like almost halfway through the year. I can't do math, okay? June is 6 months out of the year, so am I spot on with the week? Probably not, but close enough. So these are the 10 books that I would classify as my favorites that I've read so far. And you know, surprisingly, I have read a lot of books that I absolutely love so far this year. Quite a lot of books that I've given 5 stars so far this year, but these are like the 10 that when I sat down to make this list, I was like, what are my favorite books that I've read so far this year? And they came to me so easily. Like, I didn't even have to look shit up. I was just like, oh, easy, simple. Like, these are my 10 ride or die books so far of 2023. I did not rank them. A lot of these are extreme horror. Sorry, if you like extreme horror, stick around. Make sure you subscribe to my channel because I will be posting a lot more extreme horror content. But yeah, most of these are extreme horror. This is really the year where I have been reading mostly extreme horror because I am just obsessed. I can't get enough. I'm addicted. And yeah, so I won't be ranking them because a lot of them are extreme horror, some of them are other genres, so it just didn't make sense in my head to rank them. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. This is in no particular order, but I will say please look up trigger warnings for most of these because I do not want to be the reason that you need to go make a therapy appointment for next week, okay? No, I will not take responsibility for ruining your mental health. So please look up trigger warnings. Most of these have a lot, and if you're crazy and deranged like I am, just keep watching. Okay, so anyways, first book is Grady Hendrix, How to Sell a Haunted House. I am obsessed with Grady Hendrix. Like, I am obsessed with his books. I can't get enough. He writes regular horror, which isn't really my thing, but his books just hook me. They captivate me. And this is his new release from this year. I'm sure you've heard of it. And we're following this woman, Louise, and her parents die. And she has to go back to their house that she grew up in and meet up with her piece of shit brother, Mark. Was that his name? Mark? And they don't get along, and she has to go back to this house, and it's bringing up all these old memories and kind of like their childhood issues. And also, her parents collected these puppets and dolls, and the house may or may not be haunted with haunted dolls and puppets. And so it's like haunted house, haunted past. I am just obsessed with this, and just the way that it also explored kind of grief and childhood trauma and things like that. And I'm obsessed. I'm genuinely just obsessed with this man's writing, and I can't get enough. So if you're looking for just like a character-driven story that also has some like horror elements thrown in there, definitely check this one out. I'm obsessed. Next is Full Brutal by Christopher Triana. This is no surprise to any of you. Christopher Triana, one of my favorite authors. This one might be my favorite extreme horror book. This one and Survivor by J.F. Gonzalez just like fuck me up. Like, I love this book so much. I cannot rave about it enough. I've been recommending it to everyone. I am just obsessed with Kim. Kim, oh, my sweet baby angel. I mean, she's not really a sweet baby angel. She's a fucking horrible psychopath. So this is this teenager, Kim, and she is like a psycho, and she just decides one day that she is going to go down this life of sadism and try to like ruin everyone's lives. She's like this popular girl, she's like this cheerleader, and she's just like miserable, and she decides to sleep with one of her teachers, and then after that she's like, okay, I'm gonna ruin his life now and ruin everyone's life in the process. I don't want to give anything else away. It is extreme horror, but think like Mean Girls meets American Psycho, like make it extreme horror. And then she kind of reminds me of Jennifer from Jennifer's Body a little bit, like sprinkled in there. Obsessed. I love Kim. She lives rent-free in my mind. I don't know, I mean, look I kind of look like her a little bit. I am just obsessed. Like, I can't get enough. I want to reread this book. I want to read nothing but this book every day for the rest of my life. That's how much I genuinely love it. So yeah, there's nothing I love more than an unhinged woman. Like, the unhinged woman trope is my favorite, so chef's kiss. This is another one that's a no-brainer. My bestie McKay wrote this book called Them. McKay from YouTube. Hi. My twincest BFF. He wrote this book, is his debut book this year, and it is extreme horror. And this is about this girl, Jeanette. She's watching the news, and all these people are being murdered in the town. And there's warnings that come up on the TV, and here, all these people are being murdered by their loved ones, or they think it's their loved one, and turns out it's not actually them. It's like they're just clones of people that looked like their loved ones. It's crazy. It's wild. It's thrilling. It's just the perfect pacing, the perfect mix between horror with a plot, but extreme horror at the same time. Gnarly, graphic, gruesome scenes. People are saying that they've thrown up while reading this book, and I mean, need I say more? McKay, like, for a debut author, the writing is stunning. Like, everything about this book is just perfection, and if it wasn't written by McKay, I'd still feel the exact same way. I'd still be obsessed with it. This book had me just completely hooked. I just had to know what was going on, and bestie, I am so proud of you. I'm going to need McKay to write me a book every week for the rest of my life, so I know that I won't be disappointed. Next is also, once again, no surprise. It's Violence on the Meek by Stuart Bray. This book, this book is everything. So we're following this guy, Paul, and he's writing his autobiography, and he's like, hey, motherfuckers. Listen, I just need to read this to you, okay? I want to get this stupid introduction out of the way. No sense in dragging this fuck show out any longer than I have to. My name is Paul. My last name is none of your fucking business. There is no reasoning for you to know it anyways. Shit, my last name, it's about as important as your pathetic life. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. This book is one of the most fucked up, depraved, insane extreme horror books that I've ever fucking read, and it was hilarious. I didn't even tell you what it's about yet. So we are following Paul. He's a lovely man, as you can tell, and he is just writing his autobiography and telling us all the fucked up shit that he's done throughout his life and all the horrific and depraved acts of violence he's committed throughout his life. Basically, like, I'm just gonna write this fucking autobiography and then I'm gonna kill myself, and like, that's that. He just hates life. He hates humanity. He hates everyone and everything. And like, listen, he's kind of low-key relatable a little bit. Horrible person, horrible man, but I was kind of like, yeah, I'm also miserable. I also just have this overall sense of anger and annoyance at the world at all times. And so I kind of, dare I say Paul is my spirit animal? Yeah, I might be a little crazy for saying that, but, I'm obsessed. This is one of those books that just like live rent-free in my mind, where like every day I wake up and I'm like, yeah, I'm in love with Paul. While we're on an extreme horror kick, I'm just gonna get the next two out of the way, which are also extreme horror. Guys, I'm obsessed. I'm an extreme horror. I am an extreme horror for extreme horror. The next one being Shared by Two by Jonathan. I don't know, people tell me that I say his name wrong, but like Jonathan doesn't sound right because it's Jonathan. Jonathan. Am I on fucking crack? I don't know why people criticize me for that. But anyways, I'm obsessed with this man, and this is a book about, this is a psychological extreme horror about a stalker. So this is traumatizing for me. So this is about this guy. He's an extreme horror author, and he stops writing extreme horror because he starts delving into some other genres like fantasy, and he announces his next book, and it's not extreme horror. And this crazy deranged fan starts sending him crazy emails like threatening him because he's so pissed that he will not release another extreme horror book, and that his new book is a fantasy, and he is pissed. So he just keeps sending him crazier and crazier and crazier emails and messages and letters, and things just keep progressively getting more and more wild as the book goes on, and this delves into extreme gore, crazy extreme horror, and it's terrifying. The whole stalking aspect traumatizes me. So instantly I was like, and it also has really great commentary on like the kinds of people that read extreme horror. Everyone has their own reason for loving the genre, but some people might not have the best intentions. Some people that read extreme horror might actually be into this. So yeah, really great commentary on just like the genre in general, and just a really awesome, crazy, wild book. And my next extreme horror, sorry, It's Summer Never Ends by Judith Sonnet. This is a little novella about these kids that go to church camp, and what happens at church camp? Wild. Yeah, basically these kids are forced to go to church camp. They don't really want to be there, and then some fucked up shit happens at church camp. I really don't want to give anything away. I kind of feel like this is one that's best to go in blind because it is so short, but this one kind of lived rent-free in my mind for a little while. Because it has a lot of religious commentary and a lot of commentary about church camp and the evil side of religion, and being someone that has a little bit of church trauma, that went to Catholic school when I was a child, this one kind of hit home for me. So if you are someone that has dealt with church trauma, religious trauma, and you're looking for an extreme horror, look no further. I really enjoyed the author's note in this one and the reasoning for why she wrote this book. I'm just obsessed with Judith's little like author notes that she puts in the back of her books. This one is kind of more of like a slasher type book, but there's children involved, so be aware. This is one of my favorite Judith Sonnet books, and I can't recommend her enough. So this one has stuck with me since I read this in the beginning of the year. Next, moving out of extreme horror territory into like the complete opposite, I have Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. This is a contemporary. I would not classify this as romance. This is about trauma. So we're following this woman named Adelaide. She's in her mid to late 20s, and we're basically finding out all about her situation that she has going on, because in the beginning of the book she is checking herself into a hospital because she was going to unalive herself, and we're following her tell this story about the events leading up to this decision, and it's a lot. We're mainly following her relationship with this guy that, you know, she met this guy in like her early 20s and thought he was like the one, and we're just following her relationship trauma throughout the years and all the fucked up things that happened, and it's a lot. Beautifully written, extremely well done. I cried multiple times reading this book because I have lived through this book. Like, if I were to write a book, it would be this. You know, I haven't experienced every single thing that this character did in this book, but it tackles so many topics with just like trauma, relationship trauma, emotional abuse, sexual, physical abuse, depression, mental illness, like so many topics. Grief is another huge one. There's just so much that goes on and so much that happens that I was like, holy shit, like this is, I feel like I wrote this book. This book is just everything to me. It honestly means the world to me. Like this holds a special place in my heart and I cannot recommend this enough. I have a thriller. I have hated 99% of the thrillers that I've read so far this year, but this one, perfection. This is Blood Sugar by Sasha Rothschild. I think this was the first book that I read this year and it was like instant 5-star banger. So this one is more of a slow-driven, character-driven, slow burn thriller. What am I trying to say? So we're following this woman. She's a therapist and she gets arrested. They are trying to convict her for murdering her husband, but she didn't murder her husband. Turns out she's murdered 3 other people within her life. Like she has murdered 3 other men and now they're trying to say like, oh, but you killed your husband also. And she's like, no, I only killed 3 people, not 4. So we are just following her throughout her life. And we're learning about all these murders that she committed and what happened and what led her to murder these 3 different people. And then we find out what exactly happened to her husband. And so I wouldn't really classify this as like a thriller. It's not like super thrilling. It's just a mystery. It's like a character study with a little bit of a mystery. Am I speaking English? I don't know. But this one is stunningly written. I was obsessed with this main character. She is another one that kind of reminds me of myself. It's very much, it's like a good for her type book. You know, and she's murdering shitty men. And listen, need I say more? I was obsessed with just the overall tone and the writing of this one and the characters. I love a good character-driven story. And this one, like, I would much rather read a thriller that's like this, slow burn with focus on the characters, than these thrillers that are just twist after ridiculous twist and it's just annoying and I don't care because it doesn't make sense. But this one, like, made sense and was actually good. So I'm obsessed. And then last but not least, I have 2 nonfiction books. The first one being Paris Hilton's memoir. So this one is obviously Paris Hilton's memoir. And you know, being someone that grew up watching The Simple Life and being obsessed with Paris Hilton as a child, I obviously knew I had to read this, and I wasn't sure how the tone was going to be, but this is actually very heartfelt, upsetting, very honest, open. It's heartbreaking at times. We dive into a lot of trauma that happened when she was a child, and, you know, sexual abuse and being groomed by a teacher, and then, you know, when she got sent to that crazy boarding school, all the physical, sexual, mental abuse that happened there, how she escaped from the boarding school. Like, really, she is just insanely open. Everything's out on the table in this book, and I am just like floored by some of the things that have happened to her, and I just really look up to her and appreciate her for being so open and putting these things out there. And I cannot recommend this enough. If you are looking for a celebrity memoir, look no further. You need to read this book. I'm obsessed with Paris Hilton. If you are not also a Paris Hilton stan, we cannot be friends anymore. Then the other nonfiction book that I was absolutely obsessed with is If You Tell by Greg Olson. This is a true crime book that follows this woman who reminds me of Kim from Full Brutal, but in real life it's fucking terrifying. And she's a serial killer, and we follow her. Like, we learn about her childhood in the beginning of the book. We follow all the fucked up shit she did to her family. Like, she had children and she would just horribly abuse her children, and then she would bring in random people like that needed help or needed a home, and then she would bring them in and abuse them and murder people. And this is fucked. Like, I cannot believe some of the things that happened in this book and that it was real life. Like, these things actually happened. If you're looking for a good true crime book, definitely recommend this one. It was so, like, the writing was so well done because it was so fast paced. It wasn't like boring fluff. It was just like, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And this entire book was just like one thing after another after another. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe this woman fucking existed. I wanted to bash her fucking head in. Oh my God. This book traumatized me. I'm not gonna lie, because it was real. So yeah, I cannot recommend this book enough. It is so messed up, so heartbreaking, gut-wrenching. And go read it, please. Go read it and then get back to me. So yeah, hopefully I wasn't talking too long. I probably was. But those are the top 10 books that I've read so far this year. Let me know if you've read any of these, how you felt about them in the comments down below. Let me know what your favorite book so far that you have read in 2023 has been, also in the comments down below. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!